He was like, what do you mean registered? I said, are you registered to do business with me? He was like, well, I work for, Fraser Police. And I'm like, yeah, are you registered? So it went from that to roll your window down. I was like, well, I don't feel comfortable rolling my window down. I can hear you. So I'd rather keep my window cracked. Um, then they were like, well, step out of the car. And I was like, step out of the car for what? Like, am I being detained or arrested? He was like, I just want to talk to you. I said, well, I feel comfortable talking to you in my vehicle. Um, what's the problem? And then he went on to say, well, he was like, are you, do you, he asked me about registered to drive on the street or whatever. I'm like, my registered to drive on the street. He's like, yeah. And I was like, he said, well, here in Michigan, you are required to have a registered vehicle and driver's license in order to drive on these highways. I said, well, I'm not operating in commerce, so no, I don't. Mm-hmm. And he was like, well, yeah, you do. And I was like, well, if I'm not being detained or whatever, I'm like, I don't want to talk anymore to you. I said, do you have a supervisor that I can talk to? And then they were like, you need to listen to him. He was like, he's right there. I said, hi, how are you? And he was like, yeah. I said, well, I'm not understanding why you guys are pulling me over. And he was like, well, I've been standing here the whole time and you need to do what he asked you to do.
Right.
I was like, well, I haven't committed any crime. Is there injured party or damage of property? He was like, look here, like, we're not about to. And then they were like, oh, you're a sovereign citizen. And I said, excuse me? I said, what is that?
Good.
What is a sovereign citizen? What is that? And he was like, look, ma'am, look, either you get out of the car and talk to us. I said, well, I'm talking to you now. And I already told you. And he was like, well, you need to give us some ID. So they was like, if you don't give us some ID, we're going to arrest you and take you in. So I gave them my passport. I didn't have my passport. Yeah, I gave them my passport. At this point, they were coercing to, harm me at this point. So when he got back to my vehicle with the passport, he's like, oh, your license is suspended. You're under arrest and you're not supposed to be driving. And I said, my license is suspended. I said, well, I didn't know that the license was suspended. And he was like, well, at this point, you need to get out of the car. You're being placed under arrest. I said, for what? For a suspended license. So I was like, my phone was sitting in my lap and I went to pick up and the sergeant was like, don't even try it. Don't even touch it. I said, well, I'm going to call my attorney. There was just something I said, well, I'm about to call my attorney. So the minute I picked up my phone, bam, my window gets smashed. They're trying to pull me out of the window of my vehicle. And I was like, don't touch me. And I told him I said, look here. I said, don't touch me. I said, because at this point, you're about to cut me. And he was like, well, we told you to get out of the car. So now you're getting arrested for resisting arrest and assaulting an officer. I said, what? Get in my car? So, huh?
Trumped up charges.
Yeah. So then they were trying to get in my car from the outside and they couldn't. So they reached inside, opened my door and was trying to pull me out the vehicle at that point. I said, at this point, I can get out of my car. I had to unfasten my seatbelt. So they pull me out of the car, and then they're all standing around me. Stop resisting, stop resisting. And I looked at them and I'm like, are you serious?
What?
So then they start pushing me, go to the, go stand in the front of that car. And then they start kicking my legs. Well, one officer, he's kicking my leg. He told me to spread my legs. And so when I spread them, he's like, that's not far enough. And he kicked my legs some more all the way out. Now, mind you, I have on heels. So he's like, put your hands behind your back. So while I'm doing that, the sergeant and another officer, they're rambling through my purse, searching my vehicle. I said, do you even you don't have a search warrant to search my car? And they were like,
Or my
yeah,
person?
you're placed under arrest. So yeah, we do have a right to search your car. I said, do you have a warrant? They didn't
Mm.
even have they didn't have a warrant.
They didn't have probable
Um,
cause
they didn't have probable cause.
of a
Um,
crime.
of a correct. So
Right.
they're looking through my purse and all of that. They took my phones, they're trying to go through my phone. And so I'm like, hey, I need my paperwork out of my vehicle. And so they had me sitting in the car and I'm trying to see what they're doing. And the one officer that handcuffed me, he's standing by the car watching them do whatever they were doing with my personals.
Right.
Right.
And so took me to the precinct. When I got to the precinct, he was like face against the wall. And he was like, now I'm going to ask you, are you going to harm me if I take off these cuffs? I said, really? I have on cuffs. How am I harming you? So once he took the cuffs off, he handcuffed me to a bench. And he was like, you can sit there until we process you in. So then they were trying to get um they were asking me all these questions and I was like, I need all you guys name and badge number because I'm definitely gonna sue you guys. They was like, I don't care, you can do whatever you want, but you're going to jail. Let's see how you get out of this one. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Correct.
Um so at that point, um the one officer could tell he was young, um not probably not been on the force that long, and he went to try to get it, do a report or whatever. And the guy that arrested me, he got cut in the process of trying to grab me out of my vehicle. So they were
Okay.
tending to him, and while the other guy takes the report or trying to book me in or whatever. And so then they told me that I needed to give them a DNA sample. I was like, I'm not doing that. I was like, I'm not consenting to a DNA sample.
What kind
Well,
of DNA
before
sample they want?
For
For
what?
what?
they wanted to swab my mouth.
For
For
what?
what?
They was like, well, um, because you're being charged with a felony, this is procedure that we did take a DNA sample. I said, I'm not taking a DNA sample.
It's
So then
ridiculous.
another guy
I
comes
could have
out, huh?
I
I
could
could have
understand if they
said they
wanted to
wanted to
fingerprint
fingerprint
you
you
or
or
get
get
some
some
other
other
form of
form of
biometrics
biometrics
to
to
identify
Well,
identify
you.
they
you, but
did.
But
a
cotton
cotton
swab in
swab
your
on your
mouth, that
mouth?
just
That just
sounds
sounds
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah, they did a fingerprint. They took my picture. Um,
Okay.
Okay.
and so when I refused to do the DNA test, the guy comes out and he goes, oh, before he comes out, he was like, so you're gonna keep giving us problems? I said, what problems am I giving you? Because I don't want to consent to the stuff that you guys are asking me to do. No, not
Right.
asking, but demanding me to do. So he basically said, so you're basically saying we got to force to get a DNA. I said, excuse me. I said, did you just say that you're going to force, like, hold me down and take a DNA sample? He was like, you know what, whatever. So the guy comes out and he goes, you look, you got to do a DNA sample. I said, well, I'm not consenting to it. And so he goes, well, you know what? She don't want to do it. Put another charge. I said, put it down there. So I'm not doing it.
Right.
So then after that, they kept all of my property at the precinct and took me down to county. Then I got booked again out there at the county jail, and I bailed out the next day. When I bailed out the next day, I went back there to get my property because they told me I had to pay, come and get my um pay and get a release form because they impounded my vehicle. So I was getting my property. I was talking to the secretary, well, whoever the clerk, whatever she was at the precinct.
Right.
And I asked her, I said, "Hey, I need to get a police report. Um, I just got out." And she was like, "Oh yeah, when I finished loading up this paperwork that you want me to put in your case, that window right there, you can go there and get the police report." While we were finishing up that conversation, the detective in the back was coming in with my property. He's like, "Wait, what do you talk? What did she want?" And she was like, "Oh, I was just telling her she could get her police report from there." "Oh no, she can't. She can't get a police report." I said, "Excuse me, why?" He was like, "Oh, you have to wait until after the case is closed."
Jesus.
I said, "Wait till after the case is closed, but I have a right to a police report." "Yeah, and you can't get it until after the case is closed."
This is what the police people are saying.
This is the police department.
Okay, well, that's not correct, but continue.
Yeah, I know. So then I left. Then I had to go back to court. On a week later, I went to court. When I went to court, the judge was trying to make me commit to that name, and I'm like,
So you had the trial, or you went to a hearing, rather, or the arraignment.
It was an arraignment, but mind you, I didn't go to arraignment in court. I mean, while I was locked up, I was supposed to went to see a magistrate when they locked me up. Everybody else that was locked up with me, they went to court the next day, but I didn't. They sent me to another, the day I went to court was another arraignment. So I never even went to the first arraignment. So I never seen a magistrate or nothing. She posted a bond the next day. So I never saw her, but she posted a bond on my behalf. So she didn't hear any facts. She didn't hear nothing. I didn't even get a chance to make a statement or say nothing. I just she just put in a bond and that was it.
You were present at this hearing?
Excuse me?
Were you present at the hearing?
No.
Okay. You was in jail while they had this hearing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, I was. Everybody else went to court but me. I never saw a magistrate. Like I said, that magistrate put in a bond, put in a bond, and that was it. So
I think what happened there was you never showed them your ID, right? That's proof of contract they're looking for, that binds you to all these statutes and codes and stuff. And maybe everyone else who was in the jail that night did, so they can proceed with trial. You know what I mean? It's just a theory.
what do you mean I didn't show them any?
Well, they asked you for your driver's license, right? That's proof of contract. You know, that driver's license application is an affidavit. And it's stating in that affidavit that you are a U.S. citizen and a resident of the state in which you live in, which gives them jurisdiction if you are a U.S. citizen and or a resident of, what state are you in?
Michigan.
In the state of Michigan. So whenever you sign that driver's license application, it says that on there specifically, signed under the penalty of perjury. So that gives them the right to enforce their codes and their statutes upon you. But you never gave them the driver's, you gave them your passport.
Right.
So that driver's license is connected to your social.
But
right?
The driver's license is suspended, so
It's suspended, right? But it's still, I wouldn't say it's valid. but it's active, right? In a suspended status, but regardless, that driver's license gives them access to your social
But
security number.
but but the year before, I surrendered that license.
Mm.
And when I surrendered the license, they suspended the license.
Mm.
And it was in good standing before I surrendered it.
Right. So when you did you get confirmation from them that did you rescind it or you just returned it?
I surrendered it, and I wrote an affidavit stating that I was surrendering the license, and I put it in a priority mail and mailed it out. They never um they never wrote me stating that they received it. I actually had the affidavit that I sent them because I called them yesterday and I said, I'm calling about a affidavit that I sent you guys last year. Now, before I did that, I asked them, I said, what is the procedure to surrender a driver's license here in Michigan? He said, oh, just take it up to the Secretary of State, hand it over, and that's it. So I said, well, I already sent it to you guys last year. And when I sent it to you, you guys suspended the license. So since they suspended the license, that kept that have me in the system. So if I did get pulled over,
right, they didn't want to get you out the system. There's probably a proper way of doing that, or surrendering the license and rescinding the contract.
mm-hmm.
Or revoking your signature on the contract. You have the right to do that.
Well, I sent them I sent them a letter, in the letter letting them know what I wanted to do, what that was my desire. And
Correct.
they totally disregarded it and suspended the license instead of doing what I asked them to do.
And that's what they always do.
Yeah. So now I'm dealing with this back and forth with this judge. He's detained me 4 times since I've been out, going back and forth to court. They try to force attorneys on me, and I was like, well, I don't want an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
I want to represent myself. So the next time I went to court, they said, hey, Miss Green, we have an attorney for you. They're free of charge. You don't have to pay. And I was like, no, thank you. And then they said they try to give me like some type of arraignment waiver. And I was like, I'm not signing that.
Right.
So they threw it. The bailiff threw it on top of the desk when went back over or whatever. So when I went up to see the judge, the bail bondsman, they were like calling me, you gotta be at court, you gotta be at court, you gotta be at court. So I was like, I'm on my way. So I went there, but they were setting me up. I didn't know that. So when I got to court, they ended up locking me up when I went to court.
Oh boy. Whoa.
Yeah.
So that's 2 nights. How long were you in jail the second time?
The second time, 1 day, because I bonded out.
Okay.
I bonded out again.
They're trying to get you to stack up some more bonds.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next time I got out, there was this guy, he scammed me. He was he put the suit in at the wrong courthouse. So he ended up not coming back here to represent me. So while he was here, he talked to the bail bondsman and he told them, he's like, my client is not coming to court, is not going to court. They're not looking for her. You guys have the bond. So that's between you and the courts. So she's like, well, I bonded her out. So on her agreement that she would come to court, he was like, but she don't have to come to court. You do. the agreement is now between you and the courts. And so she was like, oh, no, no, no. So anyway, he ended up leaving. So he didn't represent me. So I never went back to court. Huh?
This
Is
person
this person a lawyer?
No, he's not. He was an advocate.
Okay.
For an advocate. So they have been looking for me. They end up breaking into my rental property and stealing stuff out of my rental property.
The police.
The bail bondsman.
What?
Yeah.
Did they have a warrant to break into your place? No.
I wasn't there, so I don't know. But they didn't show a warrant. They just broke in on my son, and he said they took his phone, told him that's their phone now, that because he bonded me out, they were taking his stuff. They took my other son's stuff. They took my ID badge that I had there, my work equipment, so I couldn't work. They took all of our appliances. Yeah.
This is all for not having a license and
and having a private tag.
Yeah.
This is all stemming from that. That's the reason why they pulled you over.
Correct.
That's nuts.
I think you might have a case on your hands. A clear cut, but the thing is, I would at this point, have you served any affidavit?
They don't honor nothing that I sent to the court. So then when I got out the first time, I went up there and I told the clerk, I said, I need a affidavit. I said, I need a certified copy of the warrant. I need an affidavit of an injured party.
Good.
I said I need, and I got that in writing, because what happened was she was like, well, I need to get somebody else to speak with you. So she went and got the deputy clerk. The deputy clerk came and she said, how can I help you? I said, I just got out and I need a certified copy of a warrant and I need a certified copy of this case. She was like, I could tell she was looking like, oh my God, like, but she was like, well, what, she was like, well, who picked you up? I said, Frazier. So she went in the system, she asked my name, and she was like, oh, you have a warrant out for your arrest. Would you like for me to, now my judge just got out. This is the first day. She said, do you want me to, I can set you up to go see the judge? I said, no, I'm not prepared. I said, I just got out. And I said, how can I said, wait a minute, who is this warrant through? And she goes, Frazier. I said, how do they issue me a warrant and I just got out? And she was like, I said, no, I need to go get some paperwork and all of that before I see it. So while matter of fact, I had the bonds on me. I said, here are the bonds right here, just bond it out. So I called the bondsman. I said, hey,
you had a copy of the bonds?
I got them still. Yeah.
How did you obtain them?
Well, the bail bondsman, his henchman came to see me and dropped them off.
Mm-hmm. Wow. The bondsman, you got the bonds from the bondman. Which ones were they? Do you know which forms were they?
It was like blue copies of the bonds. They gave me like, actually, so what they did was two other, while I was in there, they were trying to find like a way to kind of like, railroad me. So they were like, there were two other counties for no proof of insurance. And they had, they then tried to, I guess they called them like, we got her here. Like, do you want her or whatever. So then they started a case with these other two counties for no proof of insurance. So they started writing bonds. So I had 4 bonds. And so I had the bonds and I gave her the bond, called the bondsman and said, hey, um, they were saying I got a warrant out. He said, no, 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 no. Those people don't know what they're talking about. Your liens are the lien is lifted, or whatever. The warrant is lifted.
Wow,
Wow,
they
they
So
called it a
called it a
lien.
lien.
uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep.
They
So
ain't
They ain't
hiding.
hiding.
They're
They're
not
not
hiding.
hiding.
yeah. So then she went and talked to somebody, and then the lady, which is I think was the clerk of court, because I was talking to the deputy clerk. So I know that the deputy clerk is under the clerk of court. So she went and talked, and she's like, "Oh no, she's fine or whatever." So when she came back, she was like, "Oh yeah, my apologies. Yeah, it said that your warrant was lifted or whatever." And said, "Yeah, I know that. I just bonded out. So
Mm-hmm.
how how did you guys create a warrant after I bond out?"
While I'm in
While I'm in
custody.
custody.
Huh?
While I'm
While
in
I'm in
custody
custody
too.
too.
Yeah, yeah. So that they didn't even have a warrant to even arrest me that day. So it's just been
Huh?
hell since.
You
You
what?
what? You got it. I'll do it for you.
Sorry.
Sorry.
So yeah, it's just been hell since from that point on. They've been trying to railroad me, getting me in the court, locking me up. And at one point I thought they were going to harm me at the jail, because they kept locking me up. So that day I asked the deputy clerk, I said, well, I need everybody's oath of office, whoever the officers is on this case or whatever, the arresting officers, I need their oath of office. I need your oath of office. I need the judge's oath of office. I need a certified copy of this case, and I need a certified copy of the warrant. And she was like, "Well, I can get that to you, but it's gonna be I said, I can wait." She didn't give it to me. So once she told me that the warrant was lifted, she was like, "Okay, so is there anything?" I said, "No." I said, "I need." She's like, "Well," so I said, "Can you give me a sheet of paper?" And so I got the sheet of paper and I wrote it out what I needed. ID affidavit, need a certified copy of X, Y, and Z. I need a sworn affidavit of an injured party, um, and oath of office for the prosecutor, the officers, and the judge.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "I need this within 7 days." Gave it to her, and she started to walk off with it. I said, "Excuse me, I need a copy of that." So she made a copy, time stamped it, and I left. So a day before court, she sent me a letter stating that she could only get the oath of office for the judge. She didn't have the information for the arresting officers or herself. And it stated in the letter that she didn't have access to it.
Well, at least you got
Well,
the
at least you got
judges.
the judges.
So the judge
So
is
the judge
bound
is
by the
bound by
oath.
the oath.
Yeah.
And
So
you might have to
when I
go
went to
elsewhere
court,
to get everybody else's.
I didn't get anybody else's, but I have his.
Okay.
And I had it when I went to court that day, but I didn't like broadcast it in his face like, "Yeah, I got your oath of office." So basically, I haven't been to court in like I, I haven't been to court in like 20 years. So I'm like nervous, all of that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I was like, "Well, I'm holding you to your oath of office. You have a right. You took an oath to upstand the Constitution." And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, like whatever." And then I paused and I kind of got stuck. And he was sitting there looking at me, and I was like, "Oh my God." So from that point on, he went off to read the charges. Um, told me when I come back to court. And so I told him, I gave him a letter. I said, yeah, well, I want this case dismissed because where's the injured party, And he's like, well, I'm not dismissing it. So you have another court date on such and such and such and such.
When is your court date?
That was when it first started. So now they're sending out another warrant. So he asked me for my address. Said I don't have one.
Good. Very nice.
I said I don't have one. He said, okay, well, I'm just gonna send it to your last known address.
This is a summons?
Huh?
He's sending a summons to your last known address?
No, he didn't send a summons. I haven't have a. He sent me a notice to appear.
Yeah, that's a summons.
Yeah, notice. Yeah, notice to. Yeah, he sent me a notice to appear.
Okay.
I think that court date was for like after arraignment. Then they send you another court date to go over the charges or whatever.
Maybe like discovery. You gotta have discovery. So
there you go. There it is. Discovery.
Yeah.
So did I go back? I think I went back. Did I go back to court? I think I did go back to court.
Do you have a pending court case right now?
I do. This one.
When is it?
Well, right now they have another warrant. They just put out another warrant because I didn't. So what happened was when I went back to court the last time, they locked me up again because I told the judge, I said, well, what if he was asking me my name and I just gave him my first name. And he was like, what is I said, I just gave you my name. And so he asked one of his attorneys to go talk to me to see if he can get my name. So when I went and talked to him, didn't answer to the name or none of that. So when we went back in, once I went back up, he was like, so did you get what you needed? He was like, no. He said she was very cooperative, very, very, nice, whatever, but no on the name. He said, okay. So when I went back in the courtroom, he had my mom and my son up at the bar. And when he asked me to come back up there, he was like, so we're going to go over this again. He's like, he was like, are you such and such and such and such? I said, I already answered that question before I left out of here. And the answer is still the same. It's just Janora. He said, well, you know what? I got two people that said that you were this person. So I'm going to assume. I said, objection. You cannot assume or presume anything after I already stated to you who I was.
Right. So here's the thing. If he's getting them to vouch for you being the name, but they're not under sworn oath or testimony or penalty of perjury or anything. So whatever they're going on is just hearsay. Anything that's outside of hearsay or sworn testimony is hearsay. It's not admissible. It's not a testimony. So he's trying to use hearsay information against you.
Correct. So all this time, I didn't tell you this. I called up to the prosecutor's office before I went to the first court hearing and asked the prosecuting office if I can get a certified copy of the case. They then told me that they could not give me a certified copy of the case because it would be a conflict of interest.
Correct.
I said, with who?
With them. Like the judge works for the state, the policeman works for the state, prosecution works for the state.
Okay. So then
they say it's a conflict of interest, but did they state what the conflict of interest was?
They told me they couldn't give me that information.
No, see? Every time
They told me I could get that information. Bottom line, they've been railroading me since ever since. So I just haven't been going back to court. To be honest with you, I haven't.
So do you still have a warrant?
Well, so they sent the warrant to the last known address, and my tenant, I said, send it back. Just put it in the mail. Send it back. It's just not my address. Send it back.
Mm-hmm.
So then they sent it to my private mailbox.
Well, do you have a bench warrant? Because it's not an arrest warrant. It would be in the form of a bench warrant.
It would be in the form of a bench warrant. This says
it has to be because there's no injured party.
It's not even a valid. It's not even a valid warrant because it's not even. He has a rubber stamp on here, and it says a warrant for your arrest / order to apprehend has been issued.
Is it a wet ink signature?
Huh?
Is it a wet ink signature or is it electronic signature?
This one has a clerk deputy signature. This signed this.
A clerk signed it.
A clerk.
I believe a judge has to sign it because it's an order from a judge, not from the clerk. So
a clerk signed. A clerk signed the. Okay, so the judge rubber stamped this. It's not a wet ink signature. Right. It's a rubber stamp. Mm-hmm. The front of the warrant. It says order revoking release and forfeiting bond notice of intent to enter judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the second page, it says the defendant / parent juvenile has 28 days to appear, surrender herself to court to satisfy the court that was a compliance with the conditions of release, or that compliance was impossible through no fault of the defendant. Otherwise, judgment for full bail amount plus costs will be entered against you. Money or other security on deposit will be used towards payment of the judgment.
Wow. They put it right there in your face. They're not lying to you. They're not lying to you. They even put the word securities on there.
Wow. Money or other security, yeah. A warrant
money or other securities.
Huh?
You said money or other securities. Well, we know there's no money, so it's some sort of a debt they collateralize and securitize, and, you know.
Yeah. So, so now my house, my condo is in a fraud foreclosure right now. So I have the CFBP. I filed a complaint with the CFBP on that. So I just got it. It was just a lot, on me at one. It was like they were trying to pile up all of this stuff so I can comply to what they want me to do.
Yep.
There's a guy we're talking to right now who's been held in jail now for 4 years. For 4 years. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just because he won't comply, he's not taking a lawyer, he's not signing nothing. So you get out of jail because you sign whatever bond release, but that obligates you to come back and answer to something.
I didn't sign anything.
You didn't sign the bond. You got bailed out though.
I got bailed out, but I did. I signed it without prejudice, without recourse.
Okay. That's good at least. Or vi cultus, under duress.
Huh?
VICOACTUS. It's vi cultus. It means under duress.
Under duress.
Right. So like without prejudice just reserves your rights. And it doesn't force you to compel to perform on a contract that you didn't enter into intentionally. However, signing under duress.
Okay.
Signing under duress. It just that would just nullify the whole thing.
So you're saying I should have signed it under duress?
If I'm in jail, I'm signing everything under duress. If they're going to force me to sign something to get out, I'm signing it under duress. Because you're signing it, you're not disagreeing to sign it, but you're stating the only reason I am signing this is because I'm under duress.
Yeah. Okay.
And they might not let you do it or whatever. So I would do it at the end of my signatures and try to like blend it in, but it has to be V.C. or via copus.
Okay. Okay.
Well, try to hide it in your signature.
I just put without prejudice. I just put all rights reserved without recourse.
That's good too, because you're still reserving your rights.
Yeah.
So I mean, just to recap, like from when they pulled you over. I'm gonna walk around with this because I like talking and walking.
Okay.
When they pulled you over, the first question I would ask them, I haven't had an opportunity to do this, but the first thing I would ask the police officer is there an emergency? Right?
Correct.
And if there's no emergency, I'm going to say, the next thing I'm going to say is, let them know, first of all, that I've reserved my rights, or ask if his body camera is showing, because you got to get that reservation of rights on the record, or some sort of a record.
Do what?
You got to, hold on, let me take my headphones off.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So you got to get that reservation of rights on some sort of record. If you're not recording, then make sure their body camera is recording or something.
Right. Yeah, I ordered. So I called the state of Michigan State Police to get the body cam and the audio for that day. Mm-hmm. And I put in a FOIA for it. That was in August. And so I asked her questions. I said, so how long does it usually take if someone put in a FOIA for a body cam and audio? She was like, well, ma'am, and normally it can take a while. It normally takes 30 days. I said, okay. Never received it.
Well, that evidence you should be able to get in discovery, because that's evidence they're using against you. So you have the right to see it without no FOIA request or anything. But the thing is, you have to be given a trial, some sort of trial, so you can go into the trial and discuss what was in discovery and all of that stuff.
Well, they won't let me. That's the thing. They won't give me. How am I going to trial with no claim? They won't give it to me.
Right.
So that's the reason I haven't been going to court, because I don't have nothing. I have nothing to fight with, and they won't give it to me because they're forcing me to get an attorney.
Correct. That's what they want you to do. But the thing is, and this is what I've been telling people, right? Because I was pretty much in the same situation. Yeah. I only spent one night in jail. Let me tell you my story really quick, okay?
Okay.
I fell asleep at a stoplight, and I didn't wake up until the police officer, somebody called 911 and said, this guy might be dead in his car. We're honking at him. He's not waking up. I was passed out behind the wheel, not because I was drunk, but because I was really tired. Was I drinking? Was I drinking? Yes, but I wasn't drunk, and I stand on that to this day. But anyway, so the cop, did the whole spiel. We'll glide over the cop. Did the whole spiel. I told him this and that. I refused the drug test. I refused alcohol, and I refused anything he said, because I'm not doing any of this. Because I know at the end of the day, that is nothing but evidence that they're going to use against me. So I didn't do anything. I ended up going to jail that night. They let me out because of COVID, but I had to sign something to return upon my own recognizance. So that to me, that's a waiver of service right there, because they don't have to serve you now because you've already agreed to show up to the hearing. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I get to the hearing. I do my thing. I start asking questions, and then she just said, "We'll just schedule this for an in-person hearing."
Mm-hmm.
I get to the in-person hearing, and I did the whole thing where I pull out my birth certificate, and I said, "Here's your defendant," and she ended up issuing a bench warrant. So I had a bench warrant. That was in March of this year. So I've had a bench warrant all the way from March all the way to December, and the whole time I'm filing affidavits, I'm filing notices, I'm filing conditional, I'm filing all kind of things with the courts, but never got a response. It was only until, right? It was only until I went to the state, the rules and regulations for the state of Georgia, and I read their procedure on how they do things, and I came across a notice to produce.
Mm-hmm.
This is their code now.
Mm-hmm.
So I gave them with a notice to produce, and it was a bill of particulars. Where in my bill of particulars, I was asking to prove jurisdiction, right? I wanted to know essentially I wanted to know the nature and cause of the action that's brought against me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until I read through the codes, and the code said, in order for you to get a hearing or whatever, because that's kind of how you got to move in their system.
Okay.
Because they only honor motions and all of that. They don't look at demands. Because I sent it as a demand. I didn't send it as a motion. Because you could demand your rights. Motions are requests, and motions can be granted or denied by the judge. But if it's something that you have a right to, you can demand anything that you are afforded to by your right, right?
Correct.
But they took my motion or my demand and just said it was a motion. Whatever, it doesn't matter, because what I did was I looked through the laws, the rules and regulations of the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
And it said, in order to get a hearing or whatever, you have to file it with the criminal case manager. You have to serve both parties, and then serve a notice or send out a notice in order to get a hearing. So all those steps had to be done before I got another hearing.
Well, they were already scheduled. The last time I went to court, they already scheduled a hearing. Well, how are you going to schedule a hearing with no jury?
Well, the hearing is not for the jury. The hearing is just so you could talk to the judge, get any documents you need, express any concerns. A hearing is just so you can talk to the judge and then, iron out anything. But then the trial is the one that needs the jury, or they call it a jury trial. Or
I asked for a trial by jury.
Exactly.
And he said that, I was like, well, what venue am I in? And he's like, oh, well, let me he pulled the case up. That's what they always do when you ask them questions. Well, these are the charges. I said, sir, I didn't ask you for charges. I asked you, what venue am I in? Correct. And he was like, this is statutory. This is statute. I said, so you don't have any, I said, so you don't have jurisdiction or authority over me.
So so the next time if he says, this is statutory, right? So by statutory, this is not common law, so there is no injured party, but the breach should be in the form of a breach of contract, or the infraction rather should be by way of a breach of contract. Can you produce the contract?
See, that's the part I left out, the contract. That part I left out because I was like, I'd be in a brain fart sometimes but I think the reason is because I went in there with war in my heart. So and because of that, it deterred me from, some of the things that I could have asked for, like a contract or whatever. And I believe if I had asked for the contract, then it probably wouldn't have went no further. But since I've been out, I've came up across a lot of other research. But this warrant that they produce is a valid warrant because it's not an affidavit is not attached to it, and it doesn't have a seal.
Correct.
It's not a valid warrant.
Right.
So I was just listening to a very good video before our call today, our Zoom today, and it had a lot of very good information. And I was like, oh my God. But I already knew from being out doing research that the warrant isn't even valid. Because
it's valid per their rules, but you got to be subject to their rules. So that's what you got to prove.
And then it's mail fraud because they never served me. They never served me properly. They're sending a computer generated warrant through the mail.
Right. But the thing is, again, that's valid via their rules, and they are presuming that you are under their jurisdiction, thereby subject to their rules. That's the thing you have to rebut. It's like, okay, and the best way to do that is to ask for the nature and cause, and you have the Sixth Amendment right to do so. And then find relevant codes in the state of Michigan. Right?
Well, I also heard that they have to have probable cause to even
of a crime. Yes, if it's an actual. Go ahead.
Well, listen to this. It said if this warrant is called I have to demand for a warrant of committal. You ever heard of that?
Nope. Never heard of a warrant of committal. No.
A warrant of committal is hold on, let me where's my book? Where's my page? That was this guy gave, when I tell you he gave so much good information in his video, I want to send it to you too.
Yeah, send it to me. Please do. Make a video on it. I'll make a video on it.
Oh my God. When I tell you this was gold, I even emailed him today to see if he'll get back in contact with me because he helped someone else beat a case. And where is it? I got so many notes. It's ridiculous. But yeah, he said that he said if that warrant is, oh, here it is. Okay. So what it is he said demand to see a certified copy of the warrant of committal. It must have a court seal and a signature from the clerk and be accompanied by an oath, a sworn affidavit or affirmation.
Oh, I see. I thought the arrest warrant needs to be signed by a judge because it's an order from a judge. The warrant is an order from not the clerk. Clerk doesn't have any power.
No, it says it's a demand to see. You want to demand to see a certified copy of a warrant of committal. It must have a court seal and a signature from the clerk. So it must, so that when I look at that warrant, it doesn't have a seal. It's not a warrant of committal. And he said a warrant is is the warrant valid? Is the warrant sworn under penalty of perjury? No.
It never is. It never
is. It says, where is the probable cause? Were you injured or harmed? Breach of contract. Where's the contract? So this is what I wrote from the video. So then he said, under the Fourth Amendment states that a warrant has to have probable cause in order for them to write a warrant.
Correct.
None of the
go ahead.
It says none of the orders have seals and signatures of the court. A supporting affidavit has to be attached or with the oath of affirmation. And it has to have 3 elements: the warrant, probable cause, and an affidavit of sworn affirmation.
Yep. Or testimony. That's what testimony is.
So he said if it doesn't have that, then it's not a valid warrant.
Yeah, well, that's what we know, though. But the courts are not going to honor that. They're going to, because, like, again, they're not working under the Constitution. They're working under their rules and regulations. And per their rules and regulations, they're operating the way they're supposed to be. The problem is am I subject to those rules and regulations? And if I am, you need to prove it on the record, because they don't never prove jurisdiction on the record. They skip over that.
No, and I've never been sworn in at none of these court proceedings.
And neither do they. They're only going to swear you in when you enter your plea, right? Everything else is done in hearsay.
But everybody else before my case got sworn, they were sworn in.
Mine too.
But I wasn't.
Because you wasn't entering a plea. Everybody else is probably willing to enter a plea. And they're not going to enter a plea unless you're sworn under the penalty of perjury.
Okay.
I sat there and watched it in my court case. They swore in at least 20 people. They never asked me to swear in because I wasn't there to enter a plea. I was there to get a question answered or have my bill of particulars answered to.
Mm-hmm.
And they dodged around it. Like I went to there and I said, yeah, I'm here because I sent the bill of particulars. You guys received it on November 20th, right? And it's now December 15th. So the prosecution has had more than enough time to review it. The prosecution stands up and says, I received it, right? She stood up and said she received it. So then the judge asked me to go over and talk to the prosecution. Now the prosecution, as soon as I sit down, now she's going through the court documents and all of that's filed. Now all of a sudden she can't find it. Right? Now she can't find it, and I have this on film too. I have it on film, her admitting that she can't find it, and then she just asked me, "Well, I can't find your bill of particulars, but what do you need? I can help you out." And I said, "Okay, well that's fine. What did you just throw at me?" Thank you. I said, "So that's okay, because all I need to know is of the actions that are brought against me." And she said, well, did you read your accusation? No, she said, do you want me to read your accusation letter? And I said, no, ma'am, I read the accusation letter, right? Which was signed not under the penalty of perjury. So literally anyone could have signed it, right? I said, I need to know the nature of the charges, ma'am. What are the nature? Because I'm aware of the charges, because I can read that in the accusation letter. What is the nature of the charges? And she goes, what do you mean? I go, is it common law, equity, or admiralty? Right? And I think she said common. I have to look at the video again. And then I said, okay, well, so is it by way of an injured party, or is there a breach of contract? And as soon as I said that, she goes, okay, sir, just go sit over there and we'll get back to you. And they made me wait until the end of the court case. I was there like 3-4 hours sitting down waiting for them, and just watch them railroad all of the people through that court.
Yeah, me too. I did the same thing.
Yep. And then when it was my time, because the judge comes in and says, is there anything else? And then the prosecutor stood up and said, well, there is Mr. Anglin, and he's asking questions about this, and he's doing this. And the judge said, have you reviewed the bill of particulars? And she said, yes. And so they called me up to the podium, right? Well, this is when they called me up to the podium. And then she said that she reviewed it after she sat there and told me that she couldn't find it. And I got the part where she said that she couldn't find it on camera. I recorded it because I got these glasses that have a camera in it. You know what I'm saying? So I got that. But the thing is they're not going to answer to anything that is exculpatory.
Right.
Exculpatory evidence or information exonerates you or is testimony or information that can lead to your innocence.
Right.
So then they have inculpatory, and that's all the stuff that can incriminate you, all the information. They only focus on that, but they won't focus on the exculpatory information, like my bill of attainder, or excuse me, my bill of particulars. I think what you should do, because you don't have a court case pending. You have a warrant pending, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would go and look up the rules and regulations or the rules of procedure for the state of Michigan.
Okay.
I would do the same thing I did, come up with a bill of particulars, and then make sure you file it with the right person. You serve both parties, right?
Who do I serve?
You got to serve both parties. So the party would be you. I just serve two because there's two parties. There's me and the defendant, or excuse me, the plaintiff, which is a state.
Which is the state, which would be the prosecutor.
Which would be the prosecutor, correct. On behalf of the state.
Correct.
Right? And I looked at my
first-hand knowledge of the facts.
No first-hand knowledge. He has no standing because he did not damage or injure the prosecutor. Right? So the prosecutor cannot speak facts on the record. Trinity versus Pagliaro. They cannot speak facts to the record, but they do it all the time. And you know what? Nobody ever objects to that.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Trinity versus Pagliaro?
No.
Trinity versus Pagliaro.
Trendy?
In our Trinity, Trinsey versus Pagliaro. Pagliaro. Liarr.
Liarr.
Oh, ARO. So Pagliaro.
Okay.
And what it states is the statement of counsel, be it an attorney or whoever, is not sufficient for a motion dismiss or a summary judgment. But that's what they do all the time. And I sat there and watched that. The prosecutor got up and started speaking facts to the record. And then the judge said, based on the stipulations, that's the biggest word, the stipulations, and that's a legal term. I got to look it back up. But she said, based on the stipulations, I have something, I'm understanding that the facts, and then she went in that the facts that the prosecution put on the record are fact indeed. And then when she says that, she asks the person who pleads, do you understand or do you agree? And then that person says yes. So what happens is, what I'm seeing is, when that prosecutor is speaking facts on the record, the judge asks you if you agree, and if you don't rebut, hey, look, Trinity versus Pagliaro, statement of counsel is not sufficient for a summary judgment, ma'am. I need her to be put under oath. She needs to be, if she's going to be speaking testimony to the record,
right, sworn in.
She needs to be sworn in, just the same way as you want me to be sworn in to answer my plea. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's how they get you, because that's how they put all the liability on you, whereas they have zero liability. Zero.
Mm-hmm. And this is why I didn't go to this is why I haven't went back to court, because I'm like, I have no leg to stand on, because I don't have a claim. I don't have a police report. I don't have anything to see what they have to rebut.
What you do have is charges. You know the charges that are levied against you, right?
Uh-huh.
What you do have is that. So stick on the Sixth Amendment, your right to know the nature of and cause of the actions that are brought against you. And
nature
you have the right, yes, ma'am, and you have the right to face your accuser, right? So I went into the court and I asked the judge who has a claim against me, and she said the state. And I said, ma'am, the state does not have arms or legs. Somebody had to file a claim against me.
Yeah.
Did you file a claim against me? She says, no, the state. I said, did the prosecution file a claim against me? Who has a claim against me? She said, sir, we're just going to schedule you for a trial, a jury trial. And I said, I object to a trial, ma'am. Who am I going to trial with? Who do I have a dispute with? Where is the controversy? There is none. There is none. That's why it's called a tribunal. You have the judge, the plaintiff, and the defendant. That's a triangle. You need three parties. In these kangaroo court cases, there are no three parties. There's no party, real live party, that's willing to sign under the penalty of perjury Because here's the thing. I said to the judge, the accusation letter wasn't signed under the perjury, man. Anybody could have signed it. Anyone off the street could have signed it.
Right.
There is no liability behind this claim, man. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I filed a claim on their bond. I just filed a claim a week ago on their bonds.
And they're probably not going to honor that. They're not going to respond to it because that's incriminating evidence. The clerks or whoever you filed it with, they're not going to respond to that.
No, I filed it with their insurance company.
Oh, word. You're going to have to show me that. I'm going to have to get up with you and see how you did that, because this is a step that I'm going to take, because I filed a W-9 request, which is...
I did that too. I gave the judge a 56. He didn't honor nothing that I gave him. Then I tried to go...
See, the thing is, I don't mean to cut you off, but when they don't respond, you have to take actions to their non-response. Right?
Yeah.
So like mine today, my W-9 I filed 2 weeks ago because my court case was on the 15th. 10 business days from that, which I allowed them to get these bonds back to me.
Yeah.
Right? Which I know they're not going to produce. So when they don't produce, there's stipulations in this request that state, if you do not pursue this, I'm going to do this. So when they don't respond, you have to take the actions that you put in your notice to follow up. And nobody ever does, and they know that. So go ahead.
I gave a claim, and I gave a claim. I did like a will and claim. It was like, I don't know how many pages, like, I don't know, 20 pages, a syntax part grammar, cease and desist. I sent all this paperwork. He looked at it. He was like, this looks like a bunch of nonsense. And then you asked for my oath of office and da 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 da. Then you went before one of my colleagues, and I was like, objection. I said, the past has nothing to do with the present.
Well, okay, so here's what I would do to move forward, because you probably have a warrant out and you're driving around under duress, and you're what it's called is you're being restrained. If you're not in custody, you're still living under restraint. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I just found this out yesterday because I wasn't going to open this. I was going to send it back.
You have the summons.
I was only reason I know this right now is because I opened it just to see what it was.
Okay.
But I normally been sending them whatever their responses. I haven't been opening them. I just sent it back to them.
Okay.
So as of right now, I filed a claim with their insurance company.
Good.
And
accompanying that with a bar grievance as well.
Huh? No, I filed a claim with I filed a claim with their actual insurance company. And it's a government crimes, and I filed a claim on the state and the state and the county, the judge, the prosecutor, the police, everybody.
Yeah, I think you have an opportunity to succeed where I failed. Because when I went into the court and got in front of the judge, I clammed up because I was surrounded by police officers. I had a bench warrant. So I thought what happened to you was going to happen to me. When you went in there, they just arrested you. But mine was a bench warrant, though. I don't know this arrest warrant, if it's valid. It's not, probably, 9 times out of 10. But arrest warrant means they can arrest you. Whereas a bench warrant means you just need to go in front of the bench and see the judge. So my warrant was lifted as soon as I got in. So we have to make sure that it's a bench warrant or an arrest warrant. Because if it's an arrest warrant, I wouldn't go in there because they're just going to try to put you back in jail.
Yeah, I'm not going.
And then bond you out again. And
well, they got it where they got it where the whole county, they got me on a county no bond out list.
Oh shit! So that when you go in, that's you're going to have the same thing happen to a homeboy. Fuck.
Yeah, I'm not going back to. And then since I've been out, I went and corrected my status and all of that, sent all the paperwork off to like 8 different departments.
They ain't going on to that neither. They don't care. They don't care about none of that. They don't care about none of your status and anything like that, because what they have is a contract, that driver's license. And the contract makes the law. The contract makes the law. So if you sign whatever contract, you're bound to the terms and conditions of that contract. That contract being that driver's license, which you tried to rescind, but they didn't honor that either.
No.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. But it's when you say that this whole thing was frivolous from the beginning because I didn't even have a warrant. They issued the warrant after I was arrested. Like after I was arrested and got out.
Right, you told me that. And how's that possible? How are you going to issue a warrant for my arrest while I'm in custody?
Yeah.
And why are you going to release me while I have a warrant for my arrest? You know, this is what they do, man. They just do whatever they want because they know we're not going to rebut. They know we're not going to take action.
Well, I was like, well, this is the thing. I was like, I'm not going back to jail. So I'm going to file a claim on their bond.
There you go.
So that's what I did. So I'm going to call the insurance company when we get off our Zoom to see how, what's the status.
This case intrigues me. This case intrigues me. I want to do a one-on-one with someone else where not only a claim against their bonds, but you have to file a counterclaim against all the people who are conspiring to deprive you of your rights. And that's the next step that I'm going to take. Because I objected to it, so I got to go down to the courthouse. I'm going to do that on Monday. I can't get to it today. I'm going to go down to the courthouse and get a transcript, right, of the hearing that I went to.
This video I'm gonna send you, the guy he shows you how to get a bond removed, how to get a warrant removed.
Motion to quash?
No, I don't know. In this video, he tells you how to get a bond removed. I mean, not a bond, a warrant removed. Okay. And he said he's done it. This video is like, oh my God. I was like,
yeah, send me his information. I'll see if I can get a one-on-one with him.
Yeah.
Right? And then, I'll invite you to it. And
okay.
Because that's crazy.
I'm so tapped out on money because every time it seemed like they went into my financials because they know when I get paid or something. So every time every time I got detained or locked up, that was my paycheck to get out.
Well, so I got so you had to spend your money to get out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then I had to spend money to get my car out of impound, all that. So at this point, I'm trying to leave Michigan because I'm like, I'm done with this town. Since once this is done, I'm done.
Yeah. Because even if you file something, all they're going to do is schedule a hearing to go over what you filed. They're not going to respond to it in writing. They're going to respond. They're going to act like they're going.
No, they didn't even do that. No, they wasn't. No, they didn't make any court appearances for any of my paperwork.
Right, because like I said, I tried to file all kinds of paperwork. So you have to go into the rules and regulations or the rules of procedure for the state of Michigan and find out the procedure you need, because it's all procedure. This has nothing to do with law. It's all their procedure.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So find the procedure that they have in order for them to schedule another hearing. But the thing is, you have this arrest warrant. So if it's an arrest warrant, it's not a bench warrant, I wouldn't go in. because they're going to probably just try to jail you again and get another bond and have you bail bond out again and just make some more money. So there's something known as the Numinant record. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I was looking at you and Joe's with the Secretary Social Security Administration?
Yes, ma'am, it is. That's correct. So you don't have to go through their system in order to see that they're administering your Social Security account without your express written consent.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but it's a hard record to get, so that's why I got the one-on-one with this guy. So maybe he can give me some insight on how to force these people to give me an internal Numinant record of my Social Security account.
Well, this dude is good because he said he had a top judge, and this judge was a criminal, all kind of stuff. He said he was on him so heavy, the guy died because he said he took him to the ringer. He said that judge was calling him like, can he lift the lawsuit and all that? And he's like, no.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
I'm going to hold you accountable.
Yeah. So he said that his brother said that he died of a heart attack because of the amount of stress from the pressure that this dude put on him. I was like, when I finished when I got off of that video, I immediately went and emailed him to reach out to me, like emailed him.
Send me his information and I'll get a one-on-one with him.
Oh, what's your Telegram? Do you have Telegram?
Of course.
Because I was trying to get on there the last time I was on TikTok. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not going to. I'm not. So I got a private mailbox, right? Which is through iPostal. So I told my son, I said, quit putting that last known address on my paperwork when you come and buy me out. Put this address.
Correct.
So,
you know, an address is a military post.
Yeah.
That's why you don't use an address. You know?
Right. So they've been going up to my private mailbox to the company, which is not in their jurisdiction.
Correct.
And they said, oh, some people been coming up here looking for you, and I'm trying to get information. I told them, nope, can't give you any information.
Right. They're not bound to. They're not subject to.
Yeah. Said, nope, I can't give you any information. They was like, well, have you seen? She was like, I don't know. She's like, look, people Photoshop stuff. Like, I don't know. Yeah, what? No. She said, yeah, they were trying to. I was like, yeah, I don't know them people either.
Yeah. So you don't have a trial necessarily scheduled.
Well, I had a trial scheduled for the 15th.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go.
Mm. So that's where so it's supposed to be a bench warrant thing.
Huh?
It has to be a bench warrant thing, not an arrest warrant.
Yeah, like I said, this judge, he's doing everything in his power, like to just railroad me. I almost lost my job behind this. Luckily, I'm still there.
Right.
So, yeah.
I think the nature and cause, like, in these court cases where there's no victim, the nature and cause will get you out, but they won't answer it. So they'll say the nature is the rules and regulations of the state of Michigan. And the next question after that is, well, how am I subject to those rules? And they'll say, oh, are you a resident of whatever county or whatever jurisdiction that they have? And you'd be like, no. Do you have evidence that I'm a resident of this county or whatever? You don't ever answer their question, right? Because whatever you answer can be used against you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, well, I'll be happy to answer that question, but as long as you can provide evidence, I mean, the burden of proof is on you.
Right. Not me.
Right, exactly, because I'm not the one bringing the claim here. But when you go in there and you start defending the charges or arguing the charges, that puts you in dishonor, right?
Yeah.
And I even read in the rules and regulations of the state of Georgia that when you do that, now the burden of proof is on you because now you're an arguing participant. You're a willing participant in the dispute.
Oh my God.
That's why you don't ever enter no plea. That's why you don't go in there and make statements and start arguing. What you do is you go in there and demur. You ask questions.
Right. But every time I ask questions, it's like, oh, I'm going to hold you in contempt because you keep talking over me. I'm like, no, I'm talking after. But they make...
That's the biggest thing. Do not interrupt because they're going to use that to...
No, I wasn't even interrupting. I'm talking. But because they don't want to hear what I have to say,
right
now it's, oh, when I'm asking these different questions, he's like, oh, I'm going to hold you in contempt. Not talking over him. I'm talking after him. After he said something, I ask a question. And when I ask a question, he's like, I'm going to hold you in contempt for just... So they're just power stroking.
They are.
And because this particular county, do you know how many Black people have died in this particular county from corrupt police? A whole lot. I don't want to be that statistic.
Right. I don't either.
Because it's the whole county. It's the whole county itself. Like, they're all in it together. Like, all of them.
Of course. Did you get any discovery from them? Anything whatsoever?
No, they won't give me anything. So when I said Mom, go get a certified copy of the case. And so they were like, oh, are you her? Are you her? My mom is like 80 years old. Like, what do you mean? Is she me? And I'm locked up. You guys just locked me up. So why would you think she's me? They were like, well, we'll be happy to give it to her. It's $11. She can come and get it. So then when I get out to go get it, they give me pushback.
Of course, because they don't want to produce it.
So they're just playing games. So that's where I'm at with it right now. Like, I went to work for the first time last week with no problem.
Well, I don't think your job will have anything. You're not convicted of anything, right?
No, it's just a charge.
And you're innocent until proven guilty.
Correct.
So your job should not be concerned with any of it.
Correct. So what happened was, my job, I think they were trying to backdoor me because I sent them a W-4T to stop taking taxes out of my check. And they were like, oh, we can't do that. You had 45 days from the date of hire to, change your, status of your income, the W-4. I said, no, you can change it at any time. So what they tried to do was try to find something on me. So I think they did like a background check. And that's when they found the warrant.
Okay.
And so they were, so when they did that, because I'm like, I've been here 5 years. You all of a sudden, you guys looking to see if somebody got a warrant. So
they're going to say that they did that because of whatever filings that you're trying to change with them. And I think a W-8-BEN would be your solution.
I gave that to them. They said they don't accept it.
So what you can do at that point is you send the W-8-BEN to the IRS for approval, right? Once you revoke your election to be a taxpayer, and then you send it to them, to the IRS for an approval. They will mark it approved and send it back to you. And when they don't accept your employer, when they don't accept it, you can say, hey, what are you talking about? The IRS approved it. Why aren't you approving it?
Well, I got an appointment on the 25th to go into the IRS office. So I'm going to get them to redo my W-8 bin because I sent one and I talked to the IRS and they said, well, they tried to say they didn't accept W-8 bins. I was like, yeah, you do. It's an IRS form. It's your form.
Yeah, see, I think they get benefits for as many employees as they can sign up.
Huh?
I think they get some sort of a benefit, the employers, for however many employees they sign up.
Yeah. But see, they don't want us to know that.
Exactly. But this is like every company we've ever worked for, and this hadn't gotten out yet.
Yeah, I'm W-4. I'm about to do an audit on a couple of these people today.
I wouldn't mess with the job though, because just that's your livelihood and all of that.
No, not them. Now, if it'll be a different story if they let me go. Then I'll audit them.
Correct.
But no, I'm not trying to do nothing with them right now. I'm only trying to do my next 5 years so I can retire, and then it's whatever.
After that, yeah, for real.
Yeah, I got 5 more years and then I'm retiring. So
I would say find out if it's because it sounds like a bench warrant, because I don't know a judge that would sign off on an arrest warrant when there's no victim. Right, so it has to be a bench warrant. I don't think it's an arrest warrant.
Find that out. Bench warrant? It don't say it on here.
Is there any electronic system that you can access your court docket?
Uh-huh.
I would access it online and see what the warrant, because the warrant's got to be on there. Because when I got my bench warrant, I accessed my court docket file on their electronic system or whatever, and I can see that it says clearly it says bench warrant.
So it's a bench warrant is different from a warrant?
From an arrest warrant. So you have arrest warrants, you got search warrants, and then you got a bench warrant.
Okay.
Search warrants and arrest warrants, that's common law. These bench law warrants are just the rules and regulations of whatever state you're in.
Okay.
And it's forcing you to come. Well, I would say even if it was a common law and you didn't show up, they would just conduct the trial without you. But not in these kangaroo courts, because they need you there, because they need you to assume liability.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because until you assume liability by being the defendant, right? Whoever brings the charges against you is liable until they can shift those charges onto you.
Right.
And then those charges shift once you start defending, start arguing. Now you're arguing the charges. You're not agreeing to pay the charges, which are the civil penal sums that come attached to every infraction, right?
Oh, did I tell you that the last time he locked me up for contempt while I was out on bond? He tried to keep me locked up for 14 days till the trial date. But they let me. I was in there for 2.5 days. So I didn't even know I was getting out. Going into the third day, they called me, they popped my cell and was like, Green, get your stuff, you're out of here.
Well, good for you.
So I didn't go back after that. I didn't even go to trial. I was like, I'm not going back. I was like, I'm not, because I felt like this guy gonna keep locking me up.
Correct. And every time they do, they probably make a bunch of money. So that Numident record, right? NUMIDENT, Numident record.
I think I saved it on my TikTok when you had it up the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I screenshot. So how do I get in contact? What do I need to do to get it?
Just go to my Telegram.
Uh-huh.
Not my Telegram, excuse me. Just go to my my bio. my TikTok bio, and there's a link tree on there. First link, the first link in my link tree.
Okay.
101 with Joe Lustica. So I'm just allowing people to join via donation. Send me $1. I don't care. Just send something, and then I'll add you to the list, and then you'll be able to join the meeting with us, and then start asking. Because
I can send you something because I don't have. I'm like tapped out.
Just send $1 because I have a stipulation for everybody else. So I don't care what it is. I don't care what it is. Just send $1, and then I'll add you to the list.
Okay. Okay. So he'll go over how to getting the information. Okay.
Right. So this is a record that you can use to show that the state of Michigan is using your social security number without your consent. Because they get your social off of your driver's license, because you need to have your social in order to have your driver's license. You need to have
even
your
if you lock the social.
If you what?
Even if you locked your social security number?
I blocked mine too, but I don't think yours was locked when you got your driver's license number. And I don't think the lock, because I have mine locked as well. I don't think the lock is going to prevent them from administering your account. They'll get it some other way. There's also something known as an SS-89 form. It is a Social Security authorization form. It gives someone the express authorization to use your social. And you can stipulate for how long you want them to use it. And if you submit that to them, they can't deny it. I submitted one of those along with my W-9 request. So I put down 1 day. You can use it for 1 day. After that, you cannot use it anymore. I do not give you my consent to use my. So that right there should just cut them off completely. But they're going to find a way around that as well. They'll find another way around it as well. But I can have proof and record that I did submit it.
I even sent the judge and the clerk of court a GSA bond packet.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He denied getting that, and I said he can't deny that because I sent that registered mail.
Right. So that's why I think this numinate record is better, because you're not going through the courts to get this record. You're going straight to the Social Security Administration.
Okay.
And the Social Security Administration is not subject to their rules and regulations, right?
Okay.
And they're subject to I would say, the Constitution, right? And this is exculpatory evidence and or information that they must provide, right? By right, you are afforded that right. You're the holder in due course of that account.
So when are you able to get that? What happens if you're able to get that?
When you get the numinate record, the internal numinate record, it shows everything. Apparently, because I haven't seen one. So that's why I got this 101, because I'm going for it for my case, and I'm going for it for somebody else's case.
Okay.
This individual's in jail right now, and anyway, so I need to get it for him as well, because if you can show that the state of Michigan is using and administering your Social Security without your consent. But the thing is, does that driver's license give him consent? I don't think so. The driver's license administration is a totally separate entity than the state of Michigan or the whatever county court of the state of Michigan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're sharing information in between each other. And that's illegal.
Wouldn't that be a conflict of interest?
It would be. I wouldn't even go with a conflict of interest. I would be like security fraud, it's identity theft. You know what I mean? There's all kind of things, because you don't know. You don't expressly know that they're using your Social Security card. They don't disclose that information. So, like, these are things you can ask me if and when you can get back in front of the judge. And I think that the best thing is to get back in front of the judge so you can ask the judge these questions. But if you have an arrest warrant, I wouldn't go in there. So I would make sure that it's a bench warrant and not an arrest warrant. I would call the clerk. Call the clerk and say, hey, do I have a warrant out for my arrest, give them the case number and all that? And when I called them, they was like, you got a bench warrant out for your arrest. And I was like, I'm well aware of that, man. But I gotta get off this call though. So
yeah, okay. Thank you so much. I'm gonna try to get in contact with this guy, but what's your Telegram?
Look in my bio. I'll send you a link on how to get to it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. This was great, and I'll send you a recap, and then we can stay in contact. Cause I like this case because these are the cases that I quote unquote specialize in because there's no victim, and they're just trying to railroad you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. This was great. This was great.
All right. You
Is
too.
it Janora?
Yep.
Janora, God bless you.
You too. Thank you.
Let's stay in contact, all right?
I will.
All right, love.
All right. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Yep.